Yo guys, welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to be showing you that you don't have to be a good fighter to make earnings within Fortnite. Going to be going back and watching Knock, and if you don't know, he's the passive GOAT. He was the same guy that blew up for doing very well in solos with minimal kills, and now he's gone and won a game in the Solo Victory Cup, making earnings with only 1 kill. So today we're going to learn how he does it and see all the strats he's using, which is going to be incredibly helpful for all you passive players. So getting straight into it, off spawn, it really surprised me because he actually landed Burns Manor. And if you watch the previous video on him, you'll know that he landed a really sort of low-key drop on the top of the map. But as you know, if you've watched any of my other videos, this is actually a very valid strat, because what you can do with these POIs is there's still a huge chance you can sort of get your own half of the loot and then just disengage. Whereas if he wanted to go like a 50-50 drop like this house, there's actually a huge chance that he wouldn't make it out alive if he didn't get the guns, because he can't then disengage. So it looks like Coste actually took this side of Burns Manor. Classic replays, I can't actually see whether he always lands this side or he done a kind of scout drop thing where he just glided a bit higher and then saw the other 2 players land in this side, so he decided to take this side instead, which is obviously a good strat if you're a passive player and you want to avoid fighting off spawn. His main priority is basically making sure no one sneaks up on him, so he's using sort of his visual audio here. Before doing anything stupid, he literally just blocks it off, and then when Orva goes this way, he also then disengages and sort of creates that distance. He doesn't want to sort of go left because that's where Orva's going, so he goes the complete opposite way instead. And then he goes up, actually, because he's controlling this high ground. He can basically see what's going on around him, and he can see down here it's actually free for him to disengage. That's until he goes around this corner and sees Orva trying to escape out as well. So what he does here, he doesn't immediately turn around and start running, because this makes him look weak, and a lot of players will end up pushing this because they think you're a bad player, right, and an easy kill. So what he does, he actually appears quite aggressive here, gets on Orva's wall and just holds out his shotgun. It's really important. He doesn't try to do anything too stupid here, then just places this build, and then all he does here is just run. Whilst he's got the slurp effect, it does definitely help because he can obviously create that distance. So we can see that even though he survived off spawn, he's not got the greatest loot. Obviously a grey tack, only 1 blinky fish, 1 medkit, 5 minis and an AR. Obviously he can get in a fight with this and obviously hold his own a bit, but it's not the greatest loot to obviously go into endgame with. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is he's obviously prioritizing other things just other than his loot. Loot's like not always the main priority, right? You can have like a full gold loadout and be absolutely stacked, but in these stacked lobbies, if other things are neglected, like your rotates and stuff, that loadout's not going to matter because you'll get howled and die. So when this player gets a max pull, you can see it pulls all the way left and it's going to keep pulling over this side of the map, and he's obviously the other side. So it's very important that he basically gets a priority on all these players behind him. So again here, our player accidentally bumps into someone and he basically immediately builds like he did before, so he doesn't take any damage, because then if he did, this guy is more likely than not to push him. And then as he's backing away here, he does the exact same and basically builds, so he doesn't take any damage, and obviously this guy's then got no reason to push him really, especially in these sort of stacked final lobbies. So the player's now going back this way, and it's not always going to be plain sailing. Like obviously in a different lobby there might not have been anyone around this area and he might have just had a plain rotate all the way through this water. But obviously if he's landed Burns Manor the whole season, he sort of knows all the rotates and possibilities he can sort of take. So not only is it important for you guys to have all your rotates pre-planned, but also sort of have backup plans, because you're not always going to be able to sort of take the white line or the rotates you want to. So basically at this point our players accepted that it's just way too congested for him to rotate sort of this max distance pool now. So what he's doing the complete opposite, and now he's actually in the power plant sort of refarming materials and getting more loot, and he's actually going to play Storm now, do the polar opposite of rotating earlier as he tried to do. I've talked about it in my previous video, but you want to do one or the other. You don't want to be sort of the player that doesn't get priority on other players but also doesn't stay in Storm, because you're going to be sort of rotating with everyone else like these players down here and just in congestion and be shambles for the whole game, if not die. So in this full zone he actually prioritizes just sort of refarming and getting as much loot as possible, rather than sort of getting center zone like a lot of these other players have, mainly like I said to basically go into endgame as stacked as possible, because as we know this player is quite passive and he's not going to be going for many refreshes in the end game. So he actually chooses to base up on this water, even though it's very congested here. That actually plays in his favor when he gets a max pull. And then what he does is he combines this with the slushy. I don't know whether he was carrying these on purpose, for this reason, but he basically then pops it, uses the dash water, and even though he's got max pull here, we basically see obviously the slush combined with the dash effect. Obviously if he was using the fish as well, it basically sends you flying, and he basically does this whole max rotate in one go. And then our player is obviously in a house, which is important because he can refarm all of his mats, and like I said, be as stacked as possible for endgame and sort of limit the need for any refreshes. So we're about to see his only kill of the game, and it's definitely pre-warning, nothing crazy. So he literally just edits and there's just a guy just cluelessly there. Okay, I don't think he's carrying any guns. That's basically how he went famous last time, but he's obviously got a lot of mats here now. So what he does, he sort of gets them all in his base, and then he basically uses them to build more of a bigger tarp towards the next zone. So he's got less distance to obviously rotate to the next zone. The only issue you need to watch out for when you do this is obviously he's now going all the way back down to get his mats, and a lot of times, especially in these better lobbies, sort of pros and stuff sort of have the good game sense, knowing you're going to go all the way back for the mats. They sort of basically get into your tarp. So this guy here could basically build up, just sit in his tarp behind this cone and wait for him to come back and then surprise his opponent. So that's the only thing you do need to be careful with when you do this strat. So because of this play, he basically gets into this rotate for free, and he's basically going into this 8th zone now with cap mats. And a lot of these players, obviously it's a stacked lobby, would have used so many mats on this rotate. So already he's one of the most stacked players in this game, which obviously is a huge reason why he's able to play 0 weapons and not need any refreshes. So when it goes to the 9th and moving zones, that's when he starts to utilize his blinky fish. Obviously this is sort of the best time for them. When the zones get too small, they're not very useful. So he starts using it now. But also this is going to preserve him more mats, right? Watching this now, he's definitely a player that likes to prioritize the sort of front zone positions. I thought I would have seen him on higher layers a bit more because of how many mats he's got. I guess it's how you play front side, right? Like a lot of front side players, a mistake they make is trying to constantly stay ahead of front side. So you can actually use so many mats, like basically more than most people in the lobby. If you're front side and then you actively try and sort of claim it and keep it, you're going to use a lot of mats. I think what Costa does here instead, he basically gets front side but then waits for zone to hit him. We'll see him do it here. So he was front side and then zone hit him, so then he's actively going to get front side again. He's literally just going to stay in this box and let everyone pass him. He's going to be the last one to rotate, let all these players go so no one can sort of jump on his back, and then he's going to rotate. So he's saving a lot of mats by doing this. He actually sees even more medkits. He's already got 5, but he takes the decision not to go to it because it's basically in storm, and then he'll end up losing the heal off because he took storm damage and he'll get storm sickness first. So what he'll probably do is he's probably pinned it there and he'll take a mental note and sort of go back to that location whilst doing the heal off. Never mind, or you can just find a whole other stack of medkits. So now he's up to 8 medkits just by going through an old tarp like he is. He's literally found 2 extra slots of medkits. So he's definitely probably got the most heals in this lobby now. As you can see, he's basically staying in zone. You want to stay in it till it basically disappears. So normally he should be the one winning. He's only got 2 medkits compared to our players' 8s. We'll see what the other players have got. This guy's gone into early. He's got 6. Okay, so he's got 6 medkits. This is a good example. He's got 6 medkits, but I think he just went in way too early compared to our player who's still playing it. This guy down here, I think, is just cooked. Okay, so he stayed in it quite long, but he's already low HP and he's only got 5. So now we're starting to see why our player wins the heal off, because he is basically the last in the zone shrink and sort of the healthiest HP, and he's got the most medkits as well. Obviously, a keynote here is a lot of people that don't have the med kits and have no more heals are going to look for other players to basically grief you, get siphon off you, but also take all your heals as well, right? That's their only option, to sort of grief other people. So our player is literally just crouching in all his box, which is important so he can't get killed, but obviously crouching as well so he doesn't give off too much visual audio and people can track him down. Yeah, so as you can see, I think Although he's not moving, the healing effect still sort of gave off to this opponent where he was, and he actually got quite close. And then yeah, that's how this player got a 1 kill win and made earnings. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and also subscribing and turning on notifications, because you don't want to miss any of the chapter 7 content I've got coming. But if this playstyle's not for you and you want to fight, there's basically a video on screen now where I teach you how to fight like a pro.